Yo, what's up? So, in today's video, we're doing a video on what self improvement means to me, right? Basically, lots of people do self improvement for different reasons, and self improvement gives a lot of people different things. But the big thing that self improvement gives me, and I hope that in your journey it gives you, is consistent hope for the future. Hope is like the biggest thing in self improvement, I think. Like the biggest, most like important factor for how far you make it in self improvement is purely just hope. You need hope to know that things do get better, regardless of where you are, regardless of how low or how high you are. Self improvement basically gives you the guarantee almost that things will get better. You know, whenever I'm thinking of something that I'm not good at at the current moment or a goal that I want to achieve, I know that as long as I'm doing self improvement, as long as I'm like locked in per se, as long as I'm attending my workouts, uh, eating within my diet. At the current moment, it's deficit. Eating within the deficit, reading the books, filming the YouTube videos, studying for school, doing the school projects and stuff. As long as I'm like doing all the things that's, washing my face, day and night, all that. As long as I'm doing all the things, I know that the future will be better. That's the biggest thing for self improvement for me is like things do get better. And whenever like I have some challenge that I'm struggling with, the solution is always simple of just like self improving it. Because a lot of people they tend to like give up when things are difficult. Maybe they struggle to talk to girls, and then in their mind, that's just kind of how it's always going to be. And they don't really think further than that. But with self improvement, you're like, okay, well, there's these steps that I can take to getting better with talking to girls. Because maybe your issue isn't talking to girls specifically, but maybe your issue is just socializing with strangers in general. So then you self improve. You go start socializing with strangers and men specifically, since it'll probably be easier to start with like your someone who you really want nothing from, and then you upgrade to like a woman that you're not even interested in, and then you upgrade to a woman that you want. You improve your social skills. But if you didn't have like the self-improvement mindset, you might just leave it at, I guess I'm bad at talking to girls. Maybe you're not as attractive as you want to be. Instead of just lots of people just give up. Like especially I see this all the time with like weight. People kind of make excuses that don't really serve them. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's all my genetics, it's my hormones that do all this, and I'm just forever meant to be fat because that's just my genetics. But if you have the self-improvement mindset, then you'll be like, okay, I'm fat right now, but there's things that I can do to change that. I can eat less. I can start tracking my calories because I probably eat more than I think I do. I can start going to the gym. I can start drinking more water, because it'll fill you up more. I can switch out my sodas for diet sodas because diet sodas don't have, like, they're basically 0 calories. I can switch out, like, I can, like, get rid of this one big thing that, like, this one big food chain that holds me back and maybe replace it with, like, a low calorie version. I can learn to cook so that I can control what's in my food instead of just like always ordering out and stuff and having someone else basically dictate what I'm eating. All that stuff, and all that stuff is purely self improvement based, because people who don't have any like self improvement bone in their body are very quick to give up, are very quick to like put themselves down, are very quick to limit themselves. They create their own glass ceiling because it's not even like a real ceiling that's there. It's just mentally speaking, they don't allow themselves to get there. Similar to, this is a bit more like on the spiritual side, but it's similar to, or not even similar, it is the case of you'll never get further than your identity, which basically means if you identify as someone who's going to be successful, you'll be successful because you'll take the actions to be the person who you believe you are, right? If you identify as someone who's going to be a pro bodybuilder, right, your chances of becoming a pro bodybuilder increases exponentially purely because you move like a person who's going to become a pro bodybuilder. You don't eat the cheat meals. You don't skip days at the gym. You take the supplements that you need to, whether that be natural or if you going the unnatural or the unnatural stuff. You do all the things that your identity of future pro bodybuilder would do, as compared to someone who their vision, which just happens with a lot of people, their vision is basically purely where they are. Their identity is where they are, and because of that, they can never like break above that identity. It's like an issue that I myself personally had, where I would view myself as like the big back, the guy who eats a lot, and the guy who's like what's called bulky and stuff, and he can eat a lot. But the issue with that is that whenever I'm trying to cut, it would make it that much more difficult, because instead of me viewing myself as like the lean guy who can like say no to food. He's a fitness influencer, so his goal is like to look good, to be a good example for his followers, and he gives his followers all this advice in terms of getting lean and controlling your eating and stuff. So he needs to be a good example, walk the walk, instead of like moving like that and like making my decisions based off of that identity of myself. I would be moving and making my decisions based off of the identity of this big back. So it makes it harder, because instead of me being someone who would not eat, I'm now someone who would eat who's fighting against not eating. You get what I'm saying, where it's like your identity kind of dictates how you act and dictates the difficulty level of how you act. It's similar to if you're addicted to something. If you're addicted to like smoking, you don't want to be viewing yourself as I'm the person who's trying to quit smoking. No, you view yourself as the person who doesn't smoke. That way, whenever you're offered, you don't say, "Oh no, I'm trying to stop." No, you just say, "I don't smoke." It's a big, when I made like the change mentally to who I was, because I said before I was the big back. Now in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm a fitness influencer. I'm sexy. I'm what's called a bit of a looks maxer, and I'm lean. I'm good at dieting. I'm disciplined in my dieting. Regardless of how the day goes, I stay within the limits. Even if like the other day, I had a cake, right? I had a cake and I had McDonald's both together. So now I was at like 2,300 calories, something like that. What did I do? Well, I'm the fitness influencer, right? If I was the big back, I'll be like, oh, it's okay. I just reset, have supper, reset for tomorrow. I'm a fitness influencer, okay? I'm now above my calories. So what did I do? Well, technically, I'm straight at maintenance, but like, so what did I do? I did my cardio to like bring me down to like how much? I did like 400 calories. So I was like 1,900. So now I'm like in a deficit, not as large of an ideal deficit, but I'm still in deficit again. And then I just didn't eat supper. Why? Because as a fitness influencer who's at the current moment cutting down, I'm not going to, I can't jeopardize um, my deficit. I always got to be in the deficit. At most, I can be at straight maintenance, but that's only really allowed maybe during the weekend just because of the nature of it, right? But I'm never allowed to be in surplus, or especially during the week. But I'm never allowed to be in surplus purely because, mentally speaking, I am the fitness influencer. I need the discipline that I preach to my followers. If I'm gonna preach to you guys about, oh, be disciplined, the ways to stick to your diet, ways to make it happen, and I myself can't even make it happen, what credibility do I have? What place do I have giving you advice that I myself can't even follow? Because at the minimum, the advice needs to work for me. You know what I mean? Like, as long as the advice works for me, it'll work for people like me. But if the advice doesn't even work for me, then it's not going to work for anyone. So I got to be the example, because in mentally speaking, identity wise, that's who I am. But if I was the big back, I'm now fighting against that. And that's like a issue that most people have, that keeps them from like becoming better, because in their mind they don't have the self-improvement mindset, where their version of themselves, the identity that they like aim for, no, sorry, the identity that they view themselves as, isn't who they're trying to improve into, but rather who they are at the current moment, which keeps them there. They're always rebounding. They're always feeling extra hungry. They're always resisting being able to say no, because in their mind, they're the guy that doesn't say no. They're the guy that, oh yeah, I go to the gym and I eat a donut when I want to. Therefore I'm still fat. I just like have some muscle, but like people probably can't even tell that I work out. Unless I'm flexing or like pushing weight, people probably can't even tell that I work out because the guy that works out and eats a donut. Oh yeah, I work out recreationally. I work out for fun, I work out for my health while also not really watching any other indicators of my health. I just kind of go to the gym, push around some light weights. I'm working out for my health. I'm not trying to gain muscle, I'm working out for my health, even though gaining muscle is good for your health. But I'm not someone who self improves. I'm someone who keeps my identity where I am at the current moment. So I'll never really reach above because that's not who me. I'm me right now, and me right now is who I am and shall forever be because my thyroid and my hormones and my genetics. I'll never be lean because when I was young I wanted it, and then when I grew up, I now that annoyed me. I saw there was some like Instagram accounts that are like basically I hit the not interested, don't show me things of him because I didn't like his video and I didn't like the comments because there was this one comment that really made me mad purely because of how like against the concept of self improvement it was, and it's like they were putting down this guy, right? He's like this lean fitness influencer, and he's like, this is the body of someone who works out 6 times a week, eats healthy, blah blah blah. And then this guy made a video. He like works out, he's buff, but he's also a higher body fat percentage. And he's like, yeah, those are the video. This is also the body of someone who works out this time a week, and I make this and I make this, and I'm good at cooking, and I eat this cookie when I want to and stuff. And if you what's it called? If you make a video like this, you got to be honest. You can't just, which doesn't even make sense. It's like, oh, you got to be honest that your what's it called? That your video is not specific to is specific to your circumstance, not everyone's circumstance. And then everyone in the comments is like, yeah, I feel like this guy doesn't have personality. Oh, fitness is his whole life. Oh, drop me the cookie recipe, and it's like, why? And then they're trying to be like, oh yeah, good message. Like, no, your message is purely just putting someone else down. And for what? Like, if you really didn't care about how lean you are, then why are you caring about how lean he is? It's not even like what he said was untrue. He genuinely just said, yeah, this is my body, this is what I do. So therefore, this is the body of someone who does that stuff. Why does he need to like specify that? Oh yeah, in my specific circumstance and goals. Like, and this guy's talking like, oh yeah, not everyone has your goals, while putting him down for having different goals. And all of his comments putting him down for having different goals. And then the one guy is like, that this is the specific comment that made me mad. This guy's like, oh yeah, when I was young, I wanted to be lean and shredded and stuff, and then I grew up and it's like, what? It's like, oh, I realized it was immature and shallow, and what? You're telling me you failed at a goal and therefore it's not good? It's the same level of like the guys who will go up to a girl, get rejected, and be like, oh yeah, but you were clapped anyway. Like, no, she wasn't. You just lost. And it's the same kind of mentality that people take into everything. They'll strive for something when they're youthful, when they have this hope that self-improvement gives you. Because all of us, when we're young, we want to self-improve because we're all starting at like level one. So we're all like, excited to self-improve. We're all doing things. And then like people fail. And then because they fail, they start like making rationalizations for why it wasn't even a good thing to begin with. And as you grow up, you realize that it's really shallow to want these things. But it's like, why? Because you didn't get it, because you couldn't get it. I think someone's alarm is going off right now, which is rough for them. But yeah, because you couldn't get it, then now it's a bad thing. Like, I don't understand or co-sign to that. I actively detract from that mentality because it doesn't even make sense as a thing. Wait, sorry. Let me pause real quick. All right, I'm back. I just had to take a pause. I was worried about the alarm creating noise and it was kind of distracting me. But yeah, that really made me mad because if there's one thing that I hate people like detracting from others who try. Kind of like the ASAP Rocky thing where it's like, when did it become uncool to try? I hate when people who don't try kind of like put down others for just trying harder than them, or people who give up and then pretend that they didn't want it in the first place. I hate that stuff. But yeah, why self improvement's important to me. Just it gives, the main thing is that it gives hope, and like it changes the way that you look at things. When you look at it, changes the way that you look at life in general, because there's always like up from here. Because when you're on self improvement, regardless of what situation you're in, it's always better in the future. Like whenever you're like, oh yeah, I can't talk to this girl, I can't talk to girls right now. Um, that's all like confidence issues and stuff. So self improvement wise, since that's something that you would work on if you're doing it correctly, you know that in the future you're more confident because you're going to be putting in the work, or you should already be putting in the work to be more confident. If you're like, oh, I don't like how I look right now, I'm not where I want to be yet, then you know that in the future, since you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to look better. You're like, oh, I don't have the money I want right now. In the future, because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's going to be better. I don't have the status, future. Everything is about the future. Every case that every issue that you have, you don't have in the future. Every like problem that you view yourself as having, you've probably fixed it in the future because you're working on it right now. That's the nice thing. That's the best thing about self improvement. As I said, it's the hope that it gives you and the different positive mindset that it gives you. Because since everything you're doing for yourself is positive, you know that your future will be the fruits of your labor. Right? Like me, I don't really drink like that. Like I drink every now and then, but like compared to like last year, not even last year was even when I started with the low drinking. But compared to last year and compared to the year before, especially the year before, the amount of drinking that I've done has reduced a lot. Why? Because well, to be fair, I just decided I didn't want to drink. I don't like being drunk. But the main reason I didn't like being drunk is that it made me unproductive. I didn't like how lazy it made me feel like the days after. I didn't like the slight sick feeling, the hangover, the headache. And I was like, yo, I want to achieve goals. And drinking has nothing to do with those goals. It actually takes away from it because it makes me worse for the days after. And because I have that like future mindset, from the self improvements, instead of just thinking of the how fun this party is right now, I would think, man, I gotta like, you want to have fun, but you also don't want to take away from the other days. That's what the self improvement gave me. Some people be like, oh yeah, you just gotta have fun, bro. Oh, you're making your life. Nah, dude, like I would be in that party and I'll be like, damn, I can't drink too much because I don't want the rest of my what's called the next like 3 days to be bums. Oh, I can't drink at all because I don't want to be the next few days to be bums. So I can still have fun now, but I have more like forward thinking just in my life in general. Because every decision that I make, since it's self improvement related, every decision that I make, I kind of take into account how it will affect me in the future. Because when you're in self improvement, you work towards a better future. So you obviously want to enjoy your now because now is the only experience that you have guaranteed and that you live in, but you also don't want to enjoy now to the point that it'll just take away from your future. Because there's ways to enjoy now that don't take away from your future. And that's the one thing that you learn to do in self improvement, because the default kind of fun that we presented, all of us as presented as young people, are all pretty self destructive. Like everyone's idea of fun is like partying till late at night, partying till early morning, doing drugs, drinking alcohol, having a lot of meaningless how do I say this, meaningless connections, let's just say, doing all this stuff that is fun now, given I've never done like drugs. I won't even lie, I've never been interested. That's its own story, but like just to say, some people be like, oh, not everyone gets addicted. I will get addicted, bro. It's in the genes. But all that other stuff, it's like it's something that you don't really need for the future. It's all like pretty self-destructive things that are presented to us as like the default for, oh yeah, when you become an adult, this is the type of fun that you should be striving for. But like self-improvement gives you like an alternative. Well, not even, it makes you find alternatives purely because a lot of these, basically all of them, are not conducive to your goals. You don't want to be sleeping in too late because you have things to do. You have the gym to go to, it kills your gains. You have work to do. You don't want to be tired during the day. You don't want to be drinking too much alcohol because gains. makes you look worse, makes you look older, like it makes your skin like look worse. You don't feel as good afterwards, which means that the rest of your days aren't as good. It messes with your sleep. I can imagine that's the same for drugs, for connections. You just have a lot of people that you probably don't even like that you've kind of connected to. Like especially you, bro. The amount of like people that you might wake up next day, you sober up and all that, and you're like, I don't really want to be around this person. Like, that's something else, bro. Especially if you're someone like me who like, I think I've spoken in a video about this before. I value like connections. I found that I value connection more than just like pure physical stuff. So it's not very fulfilling for me. But yeah, that's like why if you're gonna take anything away from this video, because we're kind of at the end now, the reason why self improvement is important to me and why I believe it's like essential for you is hope. It gives you hope for a better future, and it's a constant flow of hope and positivity for a better future, because every action that you're taking today is guaranteeing that your future is marginally better. You go to the gym today, that means you're that much more jacked in the future. You eat good today, you eat within your deficit, you're that much more lean. You spend that much time in the sun, you're that much more healthy. You you know you like watch your sleep. That means that you're that much more energetic and also healthy. It just makes it guarantees every action that you do makes it that you're consciously aware of that it will get better, which is a big thing, especially like when you're going through a difficult time. It makes it, if you're on self-improvement, it's if you're not on it, it's very easy to like spiral down into bad habits to comfort yourself. Just starting to eat or do whatever you do to comfort yourself. But when you're on self improvement, it kind of stops you from making those bad decisions, because the first thing in your mind is, I don't want to make tomorrow. I don't want to make the life of tomorrow's me hard. As bad as it is right now, as long as I keep on doing what I'm doing, at least the me in the future will be happier than the me now, or at least the me in the future will be like more successful in whatever goal I have than the me now, which is a big thing. The hope that gives you is like a huge thing. So yeah, hope this video helped you. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. Leave a comment if you have something to say. Share this video with your pet iguana, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.